Did you ever dream, what if I was famous? We grew up idolizing actors or singers we saw on TV and we wanted to be like them, or at least that's how it used to be. Now we live in the age of technology and social media. Celebrities are no longer just a Hollywood star or the best-selling singer. Thanks to the internet, the definition of being famous has widely changed from what it used to mean. A lot of the people we look up to now are YouTubers or streamers, people who became famous for doing what they liked, things that you or me could do. And after seeing them, you can't help but wonder, in this new era, could I also become famous? Oshinoko asked that same question. As we follow the story of Aqua and Ruby, children of the legendary idol Ai Oshino, kids who are destined to be in the entertainment industry and to become famous. But having the innate talent of their mother doesn't mean that everything will be easy. We see the lengths Aqua and Ruby and their peers will go in order to reach their goals. Idols, actors, YouTubers, models, and even TikTokers all come into play as different ways of being famous. But the story begins a little weird. And they talk, bro, I mean, what the fuck? Meet Gore-sensei. He is a doctor, a full-fledged adult, and also an avid fan of the 16-year-old idol Ai Oshino. But it's not weird. He became a fan of her because of his patient, Sarina, who passed away. He kept her company by watching Ai, and they became friends. Very good friends. Alright, let's move on. After some time, Ai shows up pregnant, and the doctor, as the fan he is, decides to help her deliver the babies. Unfortunately, he dies, or he's killed rather, and he's reborn as Ai's child, and his patient who died, Sarina, is now his sister, reincarnated. And they're babies. And they talk, bro, I mean, what the fuck? And if this sounds kinda crazy...
Look, what the fuck is this?
Well, it is, at least at the beginning. You see, there are two ways of reading this manga. First, as a really good manga about how these kids strive to become famous. We see weird shit like babies talking and dancing as they have the conscience of their previous life. But as they grow up, the story dwells into finding who their father is, with the only clue being that he works in the entertainment industry. So we see them and their friends climb up the ranks. And the other way is as a peek to how the entertainment industry works behind the scenes. This manga is published by Weekly Junk Jump, that is like a regular shonen jump but for grown-ups, usually but not exclusively reserved for seinen titles for an older audience that deal with more mature themes. And you can tell, this manga is funny, cute and stylish as any other manga, but at the same time the story is a very good analogy to our current society. Stories often borrow elements from real life and portray them in a work of fiction, but Akasagaaka, the author, does this in an entirely different level. The creator Kaguya-sama takes everything into account while writing this story. The manga takes fully what it means to be famous in all different ways, and shows to us the behind the scenes. Quick side note by the way, I love that the manga actually says the words YouTubers and TikTokers, not some copyright-free name. Seeing the stuff we actually use day to day, it makes it feel more real. I knew that this guy was in touch with the internet when he actually mentioned Discord in the Kaguya manga. And all of this is accomplished by how good the manga is written. This guy has the ease to make any character into a really lovable person just in the span of a few chapters, and in my opinion this is the fundamental thing to get right. If we care about if we care about the characters, we care about what happens to them. Every character we see has this charisma that draws to them, and that just makes us more invested in the story. So what happens when we see a character we like be scared on stage, or happy, or sad? What happens when we see them get cyberbullied, or even cancelled? We care for them and we keep reading. And every detail in the characters is considered. One of the things I dislike the most about isekai is that we skip through so much stuff so quickly. Stuff that we have to think, well, I guess this is what happened. But knowing that the protagonist had a whole previous life with his own memories and own choices. I guess Rudy's at some point decided to see this woman not as a woman but as his mother? We see it, but we never see that conflict, at least not that I remember. But here, not only they give a reasonable explanation to why they could skip it, they don't even skip it. We see Aqua having doubts about his mother. On one side he knows that it's his mom, but he also had a whole other life where he definitely didn't see her as a mother. Of course he would have doubts, it's a very complicated situation. And you may be thinking that I'm just literally reading too much into it, but seeing them address stuff like this just makes the story much more compelling to me. The attention to the details and the characters is insane. Later on we see this character that has a grudge against someone, and at first this plays as comedic, but then they hold that grudge, up until the point we think, alright, I think that's enough. I'm starting to feel bad for the other person. We jump between as to who we think is right or wrong and see the story unfold. We see the characters change, they think about it, they compromise, they forgive, they feel like real people. And this doesn't even happen to the main characters. It really came out of nowhere. This storyline now is super invested in. The devil really is in the details as we see everything that happens and everything just makes sense. And by the time we realize the themes of the manga, everything just shines even brighter. When talking about the manga, people always emphasize that it gives a great depiction of how the entertainment industry really is. And not just a Japanese one. Even though the story is deeply rooted in a Japanese setting, the themes and situations we can see apply to almost any other place. Having a role not because you earn it, but because it's more convenient, the manipulation of facts to create a bigger fuss, the mental toll everything has on the person that is the face of the product, how to get more views, how to get more likes, how to appeal to a bigger audience. Even me right now, if everything went well, I'm uploading this video because I know that the anime for Oshi no Ko will release soon and people will go online and look for it and related things. The manga certainly shines a light on things that we as a spectator often ignore. But for me, more than the dark side of the entertainment industry, what really captivated me is the honesty that seems to contradict all the cynicism. Which is a funny contrast. In the beginning of the manga, the ethos seems to be lie, just lie to get more followers and fans, just keep lying, everyone is a liar either way, the industry is corrupt, it doesn't matter, just keep lying. But ironically enough, the parts where the story stood out the most for me is when the characters are honest with each other and truly connect. In a world where lying seems to be the default way to go about it, you can really see how better it is when people are honest with each other, because it shows that they really give a shit. The beginning of Oshi no Ko reminds me of what happened to Berserk. Yeah, hear me out. The first arc of Berserk tells an introductory story for Guts, full of action, edgy guts, and anger, and stuff that seems out of character for Guts. It certainly leaves an impression with us and makes us keep wanting to read it. But as we go along, the story shifts from just violence to telling Guts' actual story, of how he got to the point we first saw him. We see the action, edginess, and anger again, but this time we have the context that make them feel properly integrated into the story. And the things that stand out of Berserk are not the batshit crazy action, even though they are really important and cool, but Guts' journey and the tender moments of how he overcame his traumas and found new friends and trust. At least that's where I stopped reading. I haven't caught up since, you know. In the beginning of Oshi no Ko, we see elements such as idols and the reincarnation aspect to draw us in. We know what an isekai is, what idols are. They are the things that we're familiar with, an easy hook to a new reader. But those elements slowly fade away and we find ourselves immersed in the world the story presented to us. You can notice a significant tonal shift at the end of the first arc, and even though they are funny, it doesn't need the over-the-top elements, because the story can stand on its own. These two series began with a bang, maybe a little too loud, in order to draw attention, but with time they had the opportunity to show the true story they are telling, and just that is enough to make it interesting and worth reading. What stood out to me is how it humanizes the people working behind the scenes. Being the manga creators, directors, scriptwriters, actors, they show the bad side of the situation, like a disappointed author seeing his work made a cash grab, actors knowing that no one cares if the product is good, unattached directors who just want results. But we also see the people who are enthusiastic about it. Ever since we meet Ai, she radiates this energy that makes you fond of her. She's cute, she's funny, she has this attitude that you just can't help to like her. Oh my god, I sound like an idol fan. And even if she says that all she can do is lie, she still thinks everything is fun. She sees the world for what it is and still wants to love people. Highlighted with incredible art that lifts every scene even higher, some of the most incredible moments are when we see the characters who love singing, or dancing, or acting, forget all that surrounds them and do their best for that moment, for them and for the audience, because for a single moment, it is real. I can't believe this guy made me believe in the power of doing what you love. Akasaka Aka is up there with my favorite manga authors because of how deep his stories stay with me. I really admire someone who can go from making a manga about something as a school romance comedy to something entirely different as an analogy to the entertainment and internet culture. So thank you Akasaka Aka, please keep writing manga. But yeah, that's the video. If you liked it, subscribe. If you didn't, subscribe either way. And if you go from the future, let me know how the Oshi no Ko anime was in the comments. I definitely will be watching the anime. But yeah, I'm going to sleep now. If you didn't notice, I'm sick, but I wanted to make this video, so yeah, good night. Oh my god, Kan is so cute!